Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Live from Saturn. Today we are going to be going over the series Moonknight. My name is Frank Perrine.
I'm Cody Decker.
And I'm Duncan Gale.
So today...
And folks, you may have heard that new intro we have.
Yes, we have a new intro, and it is by Steve Secret.
Close. It's Sean Secret.
Sean Secret.
Very courteously.
I am sorry, Sean.
He makes very good music that's like designed for you to write stuff too. So
It is awesome. It is awesome. Yeah, we actually you came about that and connected with him, and he was gracious enough to actually help us out, and I think it's awesome. Perfect.
Now, Duncan, what are we covering?
Yeah. What is that?
So some of you may be familiar with this TV show, but others of you might be saying, "Who is Moonknight?"
Who is Moonknight?
Yeah. So it's a good question. And it's interesting because. Yeah, I mean, I'm a big Marvel guy. I think I've literally read like thousands of Marvel comics at this point, and if you have, Moonknight is maybe one of those characters where like you've encountered him like maybe teaming up with Spider-Man or something. You're like, oh yeah, Moonknight, yeah, he shows up every now and then, but the sort of background of how he was created as a character for the comics. Initially is pretty interesting. So yeah, Moonknight, created by Doug Minch, who by all accounts is a real Minch, and artist Don Perlin. So Moonknight first appeared in a comic book called Werewolf by Night, which was a
hence Moonknight.
Yeah,
like it, yeah. Right.
Yeah. So it was a Marvel horror comic. Yeah, back in the 70s, I think there were some. There's the easing of restrictions with the comics code, and so Marvel was doing a lot more horror comics, doing like Dracula and Frankenstein, and Werewolf by Night was one of those. And so Moonknight first appeared in there as this guy who was hired by this committee to hunt down the werewolf. And Moonknight originally had a costume that was made all of silver, and so it was like he was going to be, uniquely suited to fight a werewolf.
I like that.
Yeah. It was suited.
I like that.
Okay.
I like that.
All right.
If you listen, you'll catch those little.
We're cooking
gems.
with gas. Yeah. All right. And I actually went back and read some of these early appearances, and so Moonknight's initial appearance. I mean, it's a very kind of I think common trope that's used in Marvel comics, where like a character is introduced as initially a sort of antagonist. Like this same sort of thing happened with like Punisher first appearing in like Spider-Man's comic. Like Punisher was originally a guy who was hired to like kill Spider-Man, and then Punisher realized, oh, actually Spider-Man's not a bad guy. So and so it's the same sort of thing with Moonknight.
And I might get a spin-off.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Eventually, although it took Punisher at least a decade.
Eventually.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
That almost got there.
So yeah, Moonknight was supposed to hunt down the werewolf, and then he realized, oh, actually, this werewolf guy is not so bad, and it turns out, okay, Moonknight is maybe can be a heroic character.
It's almost like the Superman and Batman movie.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, I hate each other. Your mom's got the same name? All
Ooh,
right,
Martha.
Let's team up.
I'm not that bad of a guy. Me neither.
Right. Okay.
Moonknight will return.
Moonknight will return eventually. And so, Moonknight had a couple of appearances in like Marvel Spotlight, like that comic where they try to like try out new characters. And so eventually he was introduced as this character who has three different personas that he uses. So his main persona is Mark Spector. That's like who he really is, and he's this guy who was an army mercenary initially, and then he has this other persona, Stephen Grant, who was like this billionaire playboy, sort of like Bruce Wayne a little bit, and then this other character, Jake Lockley, who is a sort of working class cab driver, and so
Now, not to interrupt you, but I've heard that Moon Knight was, because DC and Marvel were always kind of stealing each other's characters, and I heard that this was a kind of go for Batman kind of deal.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And his
they just the color reversal.
Yeah.
Well, Batman wears black. We'll make him white.
And the billionaire and the whole 9 yards and different things like that.
Oh yeah. No, there's definitely a lot of stuff in here that's very sort of derivative of Batman.
Oh, is that why they maybe in the show have removed the Bruce Wayne type persona?
Maybe.
Yeah. They sort of tweaked it in the show. Yeah, probably to make it less of an obvious ripoff. Yeah, but yeah. So in his initial appearances, he was just this guy that he took on these different personas. He could either be this wealthy playboy, or he could be this working class guy, and he would use those personas to like investigate crimes. He'd be like, okay, I'm gonna go down to the street level, and I'm gonna be the cabbie now, and then I'm gonna be the billionaire guy, and I'm going to investigate crimes that way. And then he would change into his Moon Knight garb. And initially he didn't actually have any superpowers. He was just a guy
like Batman.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just like Batman. And there wasn't even any sort of connection to Egyptian mythology or anything. It was just he's choosing to wear this white suit, and
that's
he calls himself Moon Knight. And and so he was this very sort of evolving character. Like later writers would start to fold in all of the Egyptian mythology stuff.
Gotcha.
And so and that's all just to say that I mean initially he was a very sort of ill-defined character,
right?
And they sort of figured out what to do with them later on. And so the protean nature of this character. Protean, constantly transforming. It's a word that we've...
Sounded like a multivitamin you buy at Clark's. I was like, what does that do?
Well,
Cleans your kidneys.
Multi-personalities.
Yeah.
Yes.
So... So basically, that's just a little bit of background on Moon Knight as a character, because a lot of people probably are coming into this not really being familiar with him. So going into the Disney Plus series, this series, it was created by Jeremy Slater, who is
from the Malibu Slaters.
Is that true?
I don't know who the Malibu Slaters
Answer the
are.
man.
Oh, well, it's a family, dude, in Malibu that owns a lot of Malibu land. I'm just kidding.
Related to AC Slater from Saved by the Bell?
I have no idea.
Okay. What about there's another Slater.
There's Kelly Slater. I don't know. There's also I'm bad with names.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Okay.
So go on.
Proceed,
please.
So Jeremy Slater worked on the 2015 Fantastic Four movie. But we won't hold that against him.
That explains a lot. I knew nothing, and what you're bringing to the table, just slams everything into place.
The Fan Four Stick movie, or the two ones before that?
No, the one where Dr. Doom is a blogger. Yeah.
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
Why'd they hire him?
Yeah, that's a good
well,
question.
Apparently,
Dr. Doom over here.
Apparently, the screenplay that he wrote for that movie, there was a lot of good stuff in it that was not actually used in the movie.
Oh, so that's what I would say.
Yeah,
and the Fantastic Four, that's a whole nother story where they were making movies because they had to.
To keep the rights to it.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's why all of them were junk.
The only Moon Knight I've read was one of the reboots, and this is the thing when you talk about Marvel comics, like, the character's this was like, well, he was for like a year maybe, where like they kept that he didn't have powers, but he would just imagine himself as another superhero. So like he wore like white body armor with like padding, and he was like, I stole Spider-Man's web shooter, and like when he's fighting this guy, he imagines himself as Spider-Man, and kind of does that. Taskmaster thing.
Yeah.
Like he fights like him, and then it's like, I pulled out these like Wolverine type claws, and I'm gonna fight like Wolverine.
Oh wow.
And he would use like gadgets he fought from like or he stole from like other superpowered beings, and he would like pretend to be them and fight.
Oh wow.
And then like the Punisher started doing the same thing. There was like an issue like the Punisher was like, I stole one of the Goblin's gliders, and then here's like one of the phasing things. So,
that's more feasible though.
I liked that version of Moon Knight more than this TV show version.
Okay, so yeah, the version where he's actually every other more popular superhero.
Yeah, and I was like, I remember that guy.
Right.
Man, it'd be cool if I could read a Spider-Man comic, but I don't know how to do that.
Right. Okay, well, so yeah, with the Disney Plus series, so we've got Oscar Isaac as Moon Knight and his various personas. We have May Kalamaui as Layla, who is Moon Knight's wife, and then we have Ethan Hawke as this other character, Arthur Harrow, who is sort of the main villain, and so yeah. Going into the actual sort of Egyptian mythology of it. So Moon Knight is basically this character who is the avatar of Khonshu, who was the Egyptian moon god. All right, and then the main antagonist, Arthur Harrow, is a guy who worships this other god, Ammit. And so the main sort of conflict in the series is between these different sort of Egyptian gods, and there's a lot of interesting sort of ethical stuff about the different ways that these gods sort of handle evil and so forth. Yeah.
I have seen Marvel loves this type of story where it's like, if you can predict the future, is it right? I've seen them do that like 4 times.
Right.
That was like when they did Civil War 2.
Right.
That was like this, like, oh, this mutant can see the future, and it's like, well, a lot of people in this world can see the future.
Right. Exactly.
It was like I'm pretty sure half the Avengers can predict the future.
Yeah, that was like Marvel does Minority Report.
Yeah, they love that storyline.
Yeah.
Also, watching this when they're talking about Egyptian gods, I'm like, they could be making all this up. I know nothing about.
Well,
I think that would be funny. I would love the gag.
They're just like, oh yeah, it's the alligator god, and people are like, yeah, of course.
Oh yeah.
Well, I actually did extensive research
Well, of
on
course.
this
We wouldn't
little resource called Wikipedia,
I wouldn't
and
expect anything different from you, Professor.
and it turns out that all of these gods are actually real gods.
Interesting.
Yeah, or at least they're all gods that have Wikipedia pages.
Now, is Egypt a real place?
That's less clear. I mean, it's sort of speculative. Yeah, it's
Well, I don't think the pyramids were ever built. It's all fake photos.
Yeah, I mean,
it doesn't exist. They want you to believe it existed, so you can link it to UFOs.
So that's
but the
like
pyramids themselves. Really, when have you ever seen the pyramid? No.
No.
So most of the time it's photoshopped and everything like that. And there's all sorts of things. You go online and look at all those things are fraudulent. They're fake to push the whole alien agenda.
I heard about that. Now, so it's like Egypt is kind of like Wakanda, where it's like a nation they like made up for like these movies. So
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it was a nation that was made up for these movies and for certain video game levels.
Yes.
As far as I know, that's the extent of how Egypt exists.
I mean, why do you think that the pyramids look like the triangle on a PlayStation controller?
That's right.
Oh wow, I wasn't on board, but now that you mention that is a little too convenient.
Pretty convenient.
Right.
Anyway.
But anyway, so just so we don't get any trouble, Egypt is a real place.
I would love
any
listeners by Egypt
angry comments.
any listeners we have from Egypt are welcome. And
yeah, but there's one guy out there goes,
if you're
"Oh
real.
my gosh."
If you're from Egypt and you can confirm it's a real place, comment below. Let us know.
Yeah. We want to see a selfie.
Yeah. Send
Fair
proof.
enough.
Proof.
Show us proof of this so-called Egypt. And you're not just ripping off Marvel.
Right. But so I think it's really interesting that Marvel decided to make a Moon Knight show because Moon Knight is this to me this perpetually lower tier character,
C-rate, if that.
Yeah, within the Marvel universe. I mean, kind of like Cloak and Dagger or like Deathlock, like one of those characters that has multiple different comic book series that got canceled and then they try to reboot it over and over again. But
my conspiracy theory is they're trying to get characters that they owe less rights to, and they would have to pay less money to start becoming popular.
Right.
That's a good point. I personally, this is my rant about Marvel in general. You know, they had such success with B-rated characters anyway because they didn't own the majority of them.
Right.
Through 20th Century Fox. So when we look at Iron Man, and we look at Iron Man as like, oh my gosh, or Thor, and these were all B-rated characters. These were not the A game.
Sure. Yeah.
Not even at all. But we've learned to love these guys after 15 years, and Iron Man now is a key player when originally it was Wolverine and all these other people. So now that they own it, right? I think they're still stuck in that same thing because I'll be honest, why the hell are we making a Moonknight?
Right.
When you own everybody now. I would rather see a Nightcrawler series.
Oh, sure. Oh, yeah.
I would rather see something like that.
Well,
Professor X, I'd rather see, you could do it now. Why are we focusing on Moonknight? But anyway.
Who are the A-listers that they did? Like the Hulk? Was he an A-lister?
No.
No?
Not at the time when the Avengers came out. No, you had the A-listers, and you read comics. I mean, you were dominated by X-Men. You were dominated by Spider-Man, things of that nature. Even Punisher, you know.
Yeah.
You know, the Avengers really wasn't on the map.
Oh no, yeah. I mean, X-Men was way bigger than Avengers back in the day. Yeah.
Okay. Because Spider-Man's like the biggest name they have, and that's still like a legal battle they're going through. So they're all like, let's just make Moonknight popular.
No, but they when they bought 20th Century Fox, because originally when Marvel didn't have 20th Century Fox, that's when you have the whole immortal thing going on, because they had to have a way to bring in special powered people.
Oh, the Inhumans?
The Inhumans.
That they tried pushing for a long time.
Well, they already made the movie, and then they had no idea they were going to buy Fox. So now that they bought Fox, they have open to every character. The only problems they have is the Hulk, which really isn't a standalone movie, and also Spider-Man, which is, those are the only two. Everyone else they own now. So I mean, there's so many characters in the Marvel universe that I could see having a better chance, even as a C-rated character or whatever, than Moonknight.
That's the. Oh.
Well, I was just going to say they still haven't done anything with Sub Mariner. And, I mean, that's really the biggest character, I think, that still has gotten no screen time at all.
No. Do you think they're going to include like the ankle links?
Yeah, that's a tough one because I mean, it's of course a definite, contrast to Aquaman. I mean, that's how Marvel. You could always look at that, right?
Right.
So I mean, but the Submariner has so many different. He's so better character than Aquaman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know nothing about him.
Yeah, he's much more.
He's wet.
He's an
nice.
Yeah, he's wet. He's the first mutant, the first anti-hero.
Yeah,
I didn't know any of this. He's actually like an important character.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
The only here's a bit of trivia I know is because Marvel didn't have the film rights. They started writing out a lot of the characters in the comic books. So like in the Fantastic Four, after like the big one where Doctor Doom becomes God, the Fantastic Four are like, okay, we're leaving now.
Right.
And we maybe we'll be back, but who knows? And so the Fantastic Four, because Marvel's like, we're not going to promote any of these characters in comic books.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. There was like a number of years where there was no Fantastic Four comic, and that would have been unheard of. I mean, decades ago. Yeah.
And if you go back to the original problems you had was Marvel was going bankrupt.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So they tried multiple times to make movies and failed. First Punisher, second one with Golf Grumman or whatever his name is.
I got a friend who's just started like watching some of the old Marvel movies,
and
they're
like, horrendous.
Yeah, but they're like, I just saw Blade. I didn't know that existed. I'm like, yeah.
Well, no, but Blade is a little bit different.
Blade was good.
Blade was good. It was a little bit different. But you have in the very beginning, it was just horrendous. So what they did was they just started selling off the rights to it.
Right.
And rights to Spider-Man, rights to the Hulk, blah, blah, blah. And they went to Fox and said, hey, we don't know how to make movies. You make a movie.
There was a time where X-Men was like amazing.
But you think about X-Men was it was good at the time, but it was a hack job on the actual story. Mm-hmm. You had Iceman as a kid. I mean, they did not even go by any kind of canon. Right. But that wasn't the plan. The plan was for them to make a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
And they made a movie that was successful. And I mean, even before Marvel came into the picture with Marvel Studios, I mean, dude, they stapled what's his name as Wolverine. You can't see any of the character, which is going to be half their problem now.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they did the same thing with J. Jonah Jameson. They're like, we can't think of a better actor. So
yeah.
So it's like, I'm like, you could hire someone else.
Right. So I think
you can.
You'll see the multiverse it opens up the door for them to do whatever they want.
And
Moon
Knight is a little extension of why I think Marvel loves the idea of the multiverse now. One, you get to write the same character. Two, Funko Pops. So
there you go.
With the multiverse, now it's like, okay, yeah, here's 6 different outfits for Spider-Man people are going to buy. For Moon Knight, 1 character, 3 different figures.
But you got that's how,
actually like 6. Now you got them in civilian outfits. You got them in.
But that's one of the things that saved comics is crossover lines.
Oh yeah.
So I remember I used to collect comics and read them and get them for what they were worth and everything, and all of a sudden they start this whole crossover nonsense. Just to follow a story, you got to buy 18 different storylines.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
The Fantastic Four, Amazing Spider-Man, all these books just to know the story.
Oh yeah.
Great marketing, amazing. They did the same thing with the movies. You got to see, Doctor Strange to understand what's happening in here, and they did that is one of the best marketing plans ever, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, it's a real testament to how great of a character Moon Knight is that we have spent all of this time not talking about
Moon Knight.
But
I don't know if that was the plan. I don't know.
With great reluctance, I'm going to say, hey,
let's get back on track.
Can we talk about Moon Knight?
Yeah, let's talk about Moon Knight.
Not that any of us maybe want to, but,
no.
Yeah,
let's talk about Moon Knight.
The Moon Knight Disney Plus series, also known as Budget Cut, the movie.
Right.
Also known as You Won't See Second Season.
Yeah,
no, I don't know.
You won't.
Yeah, who knows?
Just I every episode just watching it, like you see the producer reading the script being like, you mean we don't have to show any of it?
Right.
And
let's get into what's good about Moon Knight series.
Yeah.
Okay. For me, I do like those parts where he was in and out of consciousness.
Yep.
Whether it was a way to save money or not, I think that was a unique thing.
Mm-hmm.
I liked that. I thought it was refreshing. I thought it was cool. I love the fact that he was multiple different characters.
Right.
I loved it. I thought they did that part really well.
Mm-hmm.
I think overall it was a little slow. I even like him being an avatar of the beak guy, right? What's his name?
Conchu.
I was thinking like a shell, right? You listen to
Conchu. Yeah.
But I like that.
Yeah.
Where it started losing me was it started getting too into the lore.
Right.
Too just into it started coming into this whole, standing in line for the Indiana Jones ride. It just was like, okay, long wait, and then all of a sudden you see one thing. Oh, right, the almond and the ice cream.
That's
That's where it started getting me again. It started to be. I was like, okay, and I think where it killed it for me was, and I always say it, but at the end of I think it was 4. Well, all of a sudden you see this hippo god, right?
Right. Yeah.
Well, dude, my kids watched the Backyardigans, and there's a purple hippo in that. Right when I saw that, I'm like, okay, I'm done, dude. I just can't, because it was just taking me down this road that I'm like, okay, it was done. There were some parts, like I said, those are the good parts that I really liked. Right. I liked the part that they were separated in this whole mirror world. But then, some of them had the ability to stay there and move on and fight it, and I would rather them explain that than explain what's happening in the underworld.
And at least in the version of it that I read, part of the thing was it wasn't clear if he was actually an avatar of Khonshu, or if he was just a crazy person who was nevertheless still skilled in what he's doing.
See, now that if they went with a homeless guy that had these abilities in New York City, now that
well, yeah. I mean, that's one of many ill-defined things about Moon Knight is that, when he was initially introduced, he had all of these different personalities that he had complete control over. Like, I'm gonna pretend to be this person now. Then I'm gonna pretend to be this person. But then eventually, that turned into what we used to call multiple personality disorder, now what we call dissociative identity disorder. And so, very much the way that he's presented in this TV show as somebody who has multiple personalities that he doesn't have full control over. But it turns out that they're personalities that he sort of created to deal with various traumas that have.
And now it sounds like his character build up. What you're reading is a lot like Morbius, because Morbius was all over the board in the beginning.
Right.
He was a vampire, wasn't a vampire. Drank blood, then he didn't drink blood, and so it's interesting looking at that. It'd be funny one day for us to look at history of characters like that and see how much they
Morbius.
changed.
Let us know if you want a Morbius
another
episode.
Batman ripoff.
Yeah,
A literal Batman.
bad
A
literal.
man bat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Bat. Yeah.
But what were you gonna say? Sorry for interrupting.
Oh, with one of the identity, like when they go into the origin, like, oh,
But when I no, I'm kidding.
you monster.
I'm just kidding, dude. You know,
the origin when they start going to like, oh, that was like I liked that, but then like, oh, and that's how this personality exists. I'm like, that doesn't make sense for this one to exist in that world. I don't know if that's supposed to imply something, but it was like,
yeah.
I mean, it didn't work. They're like, oh, this identity was created to do this, and then immediately, and then it's like, oh, you were created to live a happy life, but then like he immediately then gets a terrible life. So like you have the identity that had the bad life.
Yeah.
So what? So I
Right.
that didn't, unless they're like, oh yeah, we lied. I'm like, that didn't really make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I
But
agree.
it was a good episode. But it was just like, also whenever he fights, I'm like, there's no tension because either he can regenerate from everything, or it will cut away and the fight's over. So I'm watching
Yeah.
it.
Right.
So
Maybe he's just full of sand.
yeah, some sort of sand ant man.
Yeah.
That was like during the only big fight he gets where he's doing all his powers and is in like a horse arena.
Oh yeah.
And I don't feel anything because people stab him. He's just like, ah.
I mean, you know, when he finally is the actual Moon Knight character, which again is relatively rare throughout the series in general. But
Yes.
I mean, one thing I thought was really cool was that his cape actually goes into
That was neat.
into the shape of a crescent moon at times, and so it's like, okay, that's cool. It looks cool at least.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that was a
and-
nice shot that they did.
And it's really funny to me, you know, I always, you know, even though it's a comic book, even though it's like that thing, you know, I still, you know, root my imagination in some kind of logic and some kind of, you know,
Sure.
framework. And here's this guy that operates at night, and he's wearing all white.
Right. Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to see this guy jump across the, you know,
Right.
all
Yeah.
white.
Doesn't quite add up.
But
Well,
it
counter-
makes sense.
counter
it's
argument.
countering Batman. I mean,
Well,
it's a
right.
mirror
And
version of Batman.
My counter argument to that is,
Yes.
what color is the moon?
There is that. Yeah.
Well, I mean, but it's the yeah.
And maybe his intent is to startle the criminals. It's like, oh my God,
Maybe.
white.
Yeah,
Maybe.
the scariest color,
Yeah.
as we all know.
Yeah. White against a background of black. Maybe that could be scary. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I like that a lot of his design is like, get it? It's like the moon. That's what it's like.
Right.
Yeah,
I
the cape
got it.
forms a moon shape. You're like, get it? It's like,
I
yeah.
got it.
And it's like, apparently Khonshu designs the outfits, or
But like the moon, there's a debate whether we've ever been there. So,
well, we weren't,
know.
to be clear.
Yes.
And on the record, we didn't go to the moon. We can admit that. Like, I know,
Yeah.
like every American agreed to
Soundstage. Yeah.
Yeah, we agreed to like keep it on the hush hush.
Right.
But
Totally,
like, no,
totally.
we tried.
yeah.
Yeah.
we didn't go. And like not going to the moon. You know, I shouldn't have went to watch this.
Oh,
Which, you know, I watched this to completion. Duncan,
I did. Yeah.
Frank,
Negative.
how far did you get? You got to the hippo?
I got to the backyardigans. And if you're wondering, just type in backyardigans and you'll see what I'm talking about.
Honestly, the final episode, I was like, oh, or it's all going to be saved for this, and then they do another cutaway. I was like, all right.
Oh no, really?
You know, during the climax,
The whole thing
they
do a
cut away
cutaway?
again, and I'm like,
That's not even
to the
right.
point where it's like, oh, how is he going to get out of this situation? You're out of this situation.
See, that's
Well,
cheap. That's
yeah.
cheap.
I mean, I guess we might as well do some spoilers here.
Oh.
But this is something where you know this is not really a spoiler if you are familiar with the Moon Knight comic book character, which I'm sure at least 0.5
5 people are?
Yeah, 0.5% of the people watching this
for
are.
you moonheads out there.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, you know, you see often in the show that he goes between his Mark Spector personality, which is his more sort of combat ready personality, and then Stephen Grant, who in this version is a mild mannered British guy who works at a museum and knows a lot about Egyptian mythology. And so you see him go back and forth between those personas, but at some points you see something happen where there's just a cutaway and it's like, oh, did you do that, Mark? No, and Stephen didn't do that, and unless you know from comic books that were published 30 years ago that, he actually has 3 different personalities. And then you can kind of figure out, okay, well.
So they're holding that for season 2.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there is one.
I'm watching them. Like I'm assuming I'm gonna be shown all these cutout scenes in the next season.
Yeah, I mean, there is one sort of mid-credit scene they do at the end of the very last episode that shows, actually, there's this third persona.
I really liked the culture on Moonknight was he's a joke character, so people would just share edited dialogue scenes of him.
Right.
And I enjoyed seeing those started getting moved up more when the show got announced, and people being like, "Oh, this is hilarious!"
Right.
And then seeing people realize that's not what he did at all.
Right.
People realizing, no, this was a joke that was getting spread because the character's a joke.
Yeah.
So they're like,
I think they did great on the character.
in the comic. So like people would take panels from the comic book.
Gotcha.
They would edit the dialogue to be funny.
Gotcha.
But those would be shared because it was funny. And then like I would just be on Instagram and I would see people start commenting. They're like, "Oh, this isn't what the character said." And it's like, no.
Oh, I got you.
So I just saw that journey of people like realizing
Got
like.
you.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think if you are a fan of Moonknight, I think that this show handles the character well, and it does at least delve into one interesting ethical conflict, which is between him and the Ethan Hawke character, I think, which is basically, so, Moonknight, so he's the avatar of Khonshu, and he goes out and he, avenges people.
For the folks at home, Duncan's really waving his hand around, trying to think of describing him, and it's adding a lot to the effects.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he's basically a sort of, typical superhero. But
So imagine moving his arms around with a Moon Knight T-shirt.
Just being like some sort of.
He's just a big fan, dude. He's here just.
He's actually wearing a white shirt, so that does work.
yeah. Well, imagine me in all white, but not that costume.
Yeah.
Okay. Had to make that joke. Okay, but so Moon Knight is just a regular superhero, but then Ethan Hawke's character, he follows this other god who basically judges people to see if they will be good people throughout all their lives, and if it turns out that you're going to do something bad like 30 years from now, then the guy that he follows just thinks it's okay to just destroy somebody now. And so,
Like Minority Report, right?
right, yeah. So that's
Yeah, I
basically,
got that right.
where the Minority Report reference comes in.
Minority Report.
I like that.
Right.
All right.
And so basically he sort of criticizes Moon Knight. He's like, well, all you do is you punish people after they've committed crimes, just like, a regular superhero, whereas what I'm doing is I'm trying to be preemptive about it. And so, like, what's the proper way to deal with, crime? Is it to stop it before it happens or to punish it after it happens?
Yeah.
And the morality of that only exists in a world where the person predicting the future is wrong.
That's right. Yeah.
Because I would say that's wrong to do it before someone does something in our world where no one can actually predict the future.
Right.
But if I found out that first of all, the Egyptians were right, that all those gods are real.
Yeah.
And then one of them can predict the future and say which one's going to do crimes.
Right.
I would be like, okay, well, I mean, the God of Judgment, which I now know is a real thing, that's real.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess we'll just do that then, because God told me. I now believe in God.
Sure.
So, okay, it's like, that's fair.
Yeah.
Unless someone's pretending to be God, but they're they turn into a giant alligator or whatever.
Right.
So, I saw that. That was like national news when God showed up that one time.
But the problem is that then that God would wipe us all out. Because there's no way that you're not going to do something bad.
Well, if I found out that I was on the chopping block, then I'd be like, no, this is wrong. You can't. There's no way of.
But everyone will be.
If I found out that I would survive, then I'd be for it. If I found out I was going to be killed, I'd be against it.
I mean, it'd be different, of course. It'd be different if the guy if they said, okay, it's only like a 5-year stint. What are you going to be good for 5 years? But still, there's no way they would be wiping everyone out. That was one of my problems with it.
Sure. You think everyone would die in a world where you could predict if someone was going to
Yes.
be dead? Interesting worldview.
Yes,
Do you-
because every person is kind of born to make those evil decisions. They choose not to.
Okay.
And in any in any situation,
So you're Catholic.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
No, I'm not. Close, but I'm not. No, but in the end, you could not only believe me, you could look at actually scientific proof. You could put any human being in a circumstance like the Donner Party or different things where we will do things that for survival or whatever, and the morality sometimes warps because of that.
Right.
It's just natural human being. It's survival. Take it from evolution. You take it from wherever you want.
The show also doesn't really define what counts as evil according to that god, unless I missed that part. But it is. I do think I would argue there's a difference between like eating
Evil
someone for survival
and the judgment,
and then killing someone for like money.
Well, yeah, it
But
doesn't.
I don't know what the rules are for that god.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
It doesn't define evil, but it does show that some people are spared from that. Like some people are judged good.
Right. That one lady was judged good in that.
Yeah,
episode.
and then some people are judged bad. Yeah. And Ethan Hawke's character, I mean, as much as he's portrayed as the villain of the show, even he is consistent in his beliefs, because when he brings back the god, and by the way, it's a crocodile, not an alligator, because Africa, not North America, just forestall any emails we get about that.
It's a crocodile because Egyptian has the Nile.
Yeah, that's right.
I didn't do that.
Yeah, I'm good at mnemonics.
And alligator from New Orleans, alligator.
That's okay.
The gator, right?
Yeah.
Gator. That's gator water.
Oh, you're wearing. Oh, Frank's actually
right.
wearing. Is that a gator?
Yes.
Oh,
one of my
yeah, he
shirts.
does
Oh,
have
yeah.
a
Well,
gator
that's
on his
great.
shirt.
We done.
Right, New
All right.
Orleans gator water.
Guys, you're
water.
missing on some crazy visuals.
Gators
happening.
got bigger heads.
It's too bad we're not a video podcast.
Yeah, they use eat live marshmallows.
I'd like to meet that god. I'd like to meet the alligator god in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that would be,
It could have
that'd
been
be fun.
short. I'm on the water about 16 hours a day.
Well, but anyway, so the point that I
We're
was
gonna make your
trying to
catchphrase,
make-
but anyway.
But anyway, is that I mean, when Ethan Hawke brings that god back, the god says that he is not a good person, and so it's like, okay, well, I will accept your judgment.
Mm-hmm.
If you think that I'm not a good person, then yeah, that's fine. I mean, he's willing to sort of sacrifice himself for the greater good,
Yeah,
which
he does believe in his own standards for people.
Right. Which makes him, one of these characters like Thanos in a way. I mean, Thanos only wanted to kill half the population because he thought that the resources would run out otherwise. So he
was Republican.
Heyo.
That's right.
Let half the population die out.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
It wasn't that. I guess there was no way to like, and they would have to just say they didn't say that in the movie, but just something said like, oh yeah, Thanos included himself in that half snap.
Right. Yeah.
Like-
Wouldn't that be funny?
If he
snapped and then he disappeared too.
like just him, and they're like, oh well, he had to
that'd be
be
great.
there for like a bit longer. So,
Right.
but yeah, I saw that in something where he was included in that. So like when he didn't, he was like, I guess so little signs that I got there.
Well, it's funny because I love how they did it. I don't know if they did it on purpose, but even with the multiverse and everything like that, you start looking at Thanos totally different.
How so?
Meaning the fact that snap would have resolved a lot of things that
Oh yeah, it's also like
in the multiverse and all that stuff. So interesting.
it's also. I mean, that where I was like, I mean, 5 years. I'm sorry, I don't want to get it too much, but in 5 years, the human population would have moved on. And there would have been, I mean, after like World War II, there was the big population boom.
I agree.
So then it would be like, oh, we're going to add half those people back. It's like that would cause total, like the whole premise of the heroes working to bring people back relied on like just everyone just stood around for like 5 years. And we're like, man, it sucks. Everyone's gone.
And they made it look like that.
Yeah.
They made it look like
No
that.
one did anything. But
Yeah.
yeah, this, but yes, this Arthur Hawkins guy.
Yeah.
I like the character. The character was good.
I like that he did the glass in the
I
sandals.
love that. I love that. Not that I'm into
Oh
that,
yeah.
but,
Yeah.
That was at the very beginning. Yeah. That's
yeah.
good.
And every time you walked, I would listen. You
You can hear the jingle,
Yeah.
jingle.
Right.
Don't jiggle jangle. It folds. Anyway.
So where do you stand on that that
Glass. That's good.
walking on thin glass here? Where do you stand on that? Glass shards.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's tough because if you really could accurately predict what could happen in the future, yeah, I mean, why wouldn't you, try to prevent that? I mean, if you could kill,
Hitler.
baby Hitler,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, yeah, why wouldn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it would feel wrong because you're killing a baby
Yeah,
who hasn't done anything wrong yet.
but you know that they will.
But you know that they will, yeah. So I guess the issue comes down to, how certain of knowledge do you have?
Yeah, that's the like.
Yeah,
if,
but it would change everything.
if it was like an AI program, it'd be like you can't trust that because that was in
Right,
Winter
right.
Soldier too, right? Where they were
Yeah.
Oh, sure, yeah.
But like, I'm like, you can't trust algorithms, but it's like this is a god.
Yeah.
Like I something that obsessed me with Marvel is they don't show people freaking out at finding all these things are like real. Like you don't see like how did society change when they found out that like Egyptian gods are real, and they were like fighting in like downtown Egypt like a little while ago.
Right.
Well, in the comics, they kind of answer that stuff with Thor and all that stuff because technically he's not a god; he's an alien. But us, we saw them as gods and created, gods unto them and stuff. So yeah,
Right.
And he
But
was
in
just
the
the god
movie,
of
yeah.
thunder. So I mean, all that requires is being in command of lightning, but then also thunder.
yeah.
Very,
and being
very
part of
frightening.
a strip club.
Yeah. What?
Oh, that's Thunder Down Under.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what that is.
Sorry. Yeah, I liked. I mean, overall, I thought it was enjoyable. I think Marvel, in general, and Disney is just caught up in that way of thinking, where it's still let's build a character.
Right.
Don't. You got tons of characters now that you could tap into.
Oh, sure.
And most people won't know who Nightcrawler is either. But there's a bigger portion that do than Moon Knight.
Oh, yeah.
No offense. I mean, you got Moonlight characters like, but sometimes you got to look at really the percentage of your market, unfortunately.
Right.
How many
right.
Moonlight people are like that?
Yeah. Oh, now of course everyone's hankering for an Agent Venom movie. So I mean, they're probably saving up for that.
And you're pretty, you have pretty extensive knowledge on Venom.
Yeah, Agent Venom's my favorite superhero, and I'm like, I don't want Marvel to do him because I don't think they're going to do it right.
Well, but I mean, they already did such a great job with those other two Venom movies, right?
Yeah, and the modernized version of Flash Thompson where he's in the chess club, but he's like one of the worst ones at chess, really is a good way
Right.
of modernizing a bully character who has to learn how he affected people. He calls Peter penis.
Right.
That definitely is the same vibe as like a true bad bully who has to confront the way he treated people.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I don't want that.
We're waiting for your key phrase.
My key phrase.
Your key phrase.
But anyway.
But anyway. He has to reel us back in. Sometimes you get off course.
Yeah, I didn't like that a lot of the I liked the character.
I love
And
the
I had
character.
fun with them.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, are you removing these action scenes for the sake of a budget? If so, you didn't need to do it on that big grand CGI fight that happened. And I would have rather that was devoted to like me actually seeing these people do anything. I remember when, like the God Council is like, we're gonna fight you.
Oh my gosh,
and
that
it
was
just
horrendous.
cuts away and it's like they're all gone. And I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
sure. I don't. Why would I need to know how they went down? Arthur doesn't get his own suit, which I'm like, I don't know what the rules are on that. Apparently, you get a suit if a god like
why
links
didn't he
up
have a
with you.
suit? Crocodile suit.
Yeah, he gets a freaking stick.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, is that like the power gem? It's purple. Is that the?
Oh, right. Yeah.
Well, now let me ask you a question, both of you guys. So, what if you had this Moon Knight character without any of the background, the Egyptian background, as a homeless guy in New York with these multiple personalities fighting crime? That would have show I would have wanted to watch.
I would have liked that. And then they're like, oh, he talks to a spirit. Is that the real Egyptian god? Maybe be vague about it.
He's schizophrenic.
Every
he's a
now and
homeless
then
guy.
have a point where it's like, oh, how could it have known that? But then it's like, well, he could have, we don't know what he was doing before, so maybe he had these. I would have enjoyed more of a psychological thriller
I think I would have.
as
too.
opposed to like it is a superhero thing,
But you don't
but
see the
we
superhero
won't
stuff.
see it.
Yeah.
Right.
And then outside of that, it's like, oi, mate. I don't know what's going on.
Oi.
Oi.
What accent is
What?
it? I was trying to help out with that.
I don't know, man.
Is that like Australian or something?
I can't hold on to an accent for longer than like 3 words.
He's like,
Duncan
oi.
is looking at
Oi,
me like
mate.
confused.
Oi. I don't know if I was drunk Australian.
Oi, Gov.
Oh, this is
like the
English.
first 6 episodes is a guy
Oh,
going,
yes,
I don't
right.
know what's
He was
going
in
on.
London.
What's all this then?
He said, what's all this?
I
What
work
is
at a
good?
museum and he goes
good.
away, but
And I got a scont.
look, it's a hippo in the first episode.
He said, hippo, I like that.
Thank you,
And you do sound like a librarian.
Oi, mate.
Yeah,
me.
I might.
And
Or a little
man,
mouse.
Yeah,
Little mouse. You know.
Well, I mean, but anyway. I mean, dealing with the character where, mental illness is part of their character. I mean, it's always a little tricky to do that in a way that sort of,
You could do it and support
Makes-
it, though. You don't have to make it's not making fun of it.
Well, no,
But
no,
like
no,
treating
certainly
it
not.
right
Yeah.
is
But-
like its own like way of, because if you don't treat it accurately, that's still
Right.
like, oh, that's like harmful to people with
Yeah.
it.
And it's also pretty well-worn territory. Like, I mean, there was this other show, Legion, from a couple of years ago, which, I mean, Moon Knight really reminded me of Legion.
That's what a lot of people say.
I liked
Yeah.
the first 2 seasons of that.
Yeah, well, the third season is amazing.
Is it?
Of Legion? Oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah, absolutely.
The second one ended on, I'm like, I don't know if I'll finish this.
Yeah, I mean, I can see, but yeah, definitely check out the third season if you have time.
Demon possessed guy? I don't know nothing about it.
Well, Legion is Professor X's son.
Ah.
Yeah, who is mentally unstable, but also has really powerful psychic.
And
See,
each,
I wonder
each
if they-
personality has a different power.
See, I wonder
Yeah,
if they actually got that name because that's biblical.
Yeah, I mean,
Probably.
absolutely.
Partially.
they did,
Yeah, when Christ came across the crazy guy.
Yeah.
And he said, "Who are you? We are Legion.
We are
We are
Legion."
many."
No,
Yeah,
I think they got
Interesting.
that from Mass Effect 2.
Or Well, I'm sure Mass
But
Effect 2 got.
wait, did you not see? You didn't watch Legion?
I did not.
That pulls it off in a way where, like, for longer than I thought I would, I
Yeah.
didn't know if it was real or not.
Really?
They pull it in a way because it's like, oh, is he like they go to a mental institution multiple times and like he escapes. Like, oh, did he ever escape? And that's like when I was watching Moonknight.
Hence Moon Knight.
They did like a very similar
Okay.
thing, and I'm like, it feels like they didn't earn this because like, oh, is this real? And I'm like, I saw him fly, and like, there's recordings of him fighting like an invisible thing.
Right.
So I know this is real. But in Legion, they do the same thing, and I believed it for a while.
Interesting.
Because also they're like, oh, maybe he's not a mutant. Like, are mutants even a thing? Like, we don't know. It's like a secret. We've heard there's like a thing happening with them, but
Well, that's pretty cool.
you
Now
should
I gotta
watch.
it.
It pulls off what I guess, if you were looking for that in Moon Knight, Legion does that,
Ah,
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah, Legion's definitely a better show. Yeah.
and it has one of the coolest psychic battles in season 2.
Really?
Like, I watched that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I
There's
just watched that
nothing
sometime.
like a good psychic battle.
Yeah, you see how they handle it, and like, yep. Everything else beyond that is just 2 people pointing fingers at each other.
Yeah, but that's like the movie Logan. I thought it really hits a reality when they go, you got a guy that's a weapon and he's got Alzheimer's.
Right.
And
Yeah.
you never really think about it, even reading comic books, and you never really think about it. And then they kind of made it real to me because I'm like, yeah. Could you imagine Professor X with Alzheimer's?
I like the.
I mean, he's like a weapon of mass destruction.
I saw people
would take him out.
People had like the gif of like Wolverine, like when Xavier's like he causes everyone to like freeze in place and like start like having like a brain meltdown, and Wolverine's able to like fight through it and
Because
like
he's healing it.
the title for it was just like when you play a real time strategy game. Because like you have to take turns in that, so it's just you see like the soldier like looking over because like
Yeah.
they're like frozen. And Wolverine's just like slowly
Oh my
walking.
gosh, that's too funny.
Wow.
Yeah, that's it. What were we talking about, Moonknight?
Well, anyways.
Yeah, I think
It's sort of like we have multiple discussion disorder.
I think we do. I think we do. Someone just wants to keep on Moon Knight. Yes, but that's what we're talking about.
You know a series that handled dissociative identity disorder, Way of Kings.
Ooh, Way of Kings, dude.
That's which you're gonna get to that book. Don't you worry, Duncan.
Okay.
That there's a
Ah,
character
yeah.
with it, but because powers exist, that causes it to manifest sort of in like the Hollywood way, because it's like, oh, that disorder is manifesting within this power. So it's like, it's not that like, oh, they have like different identities. They wouldn't have if they didn't have powers.
Oh, interesting.
If they didn't have these powers, they wouldn't have started like manifesting it this way.
Yeah. So overall, what do you think?
I wasn't too thrilled with this show. I didn't like that I didn't get a season.
What did you like? Let's start with the positives.
Oscar Isaac's great.
Yeah.
When it got serious with the background, I was like, that was really good. I liked that. I liked that the villain had he at the very least believed in what he was doing. So very Thanos. He's like half, if you're good, you die. If you're bad, all that stuff.
Right.
So it's like that's about it. I didn't like that it pulls that classic, if I kill you, guy who's in charge of all this, I'm bad. Now, I did just kill dozens of your followers without any moral issue, but now that it's the guy in charge, now we got to think about morality. I hate when a story ends on that note. I like how it doesn't quite end that way, but you have characters say that that's how they feel about it, which is like, okay, I killed all your guys, but it's wrong if I kill you.
Yeah.
I hate that.
No, I totally agree. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the performances and the overall, production value and everything of the show is very high quality, and and again, if you are one of that small group of people that is a fan of Moonknight, I think you will love this show, and I think it does good by him. But yeah, I think the overall problem with Moonknight is just. Yeah, I mean, there's something about the character that just seems very kind of, I don't know, generic a little bit. Just sort of like, if somebody who didn't know anything about comics was just like making up a superhero, they might come up with Moonknight or something.
Someone that knew nothing and fell asleep with a pencil in their hand might.
And you're like, it's called Moonknight.
It's called Moonknight.
Okay.
He dresses in white and he has moon powers. Okay, yeah.
He also
cool,
has like a moon, throwing sword in his chest.
That's shaped like a
like
moon?
a crescent.
Like a moon.
His cape forms like a crescent too.
Right.
So the other guy, he has like batons, but that's just general. That's just classic street level superheroes use batons to hit people.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and then your character, when they eat, they could be full moon.
Oh,
right.
All right.
Right?
And then when they're hungry, you know what they could go for? A croissant moon.
Croissant. Love it. Dude, that was great.
It's the only joke I've told that's landed.
That was great. Okay, so for me, I like the performance. I like the actor. And believe it or not, I mean, I've always liked Moonknight, right? Never really followed him in the comics. I just liked the way he looked, even though it was a ripoff of Batman. But,
Sure.
I like the Egyptian lore. I just think they went too kind of crazy with it and lost me in the whole mix. And, I mean, in the end, a superhero and you're fighting an evil guy, let's keep it at that.
Right.
I would have liked if I got more fights and I got the mythology spread out more.
Yes. Yeah.
Instead of like, here's the episode where they're going to explain everything.
Well, not only that, you had an opportunity to really go into this whole aspect of whether he was two people mentally ill. Because no one else saw the things but him.
Right.
So you totally could have went through this whole thing about how everyone is not seeing what he's seeing.
Mm-hmm.
There's also, in the climax, he has his like, oh, I'm blacking out now that I've been written into a corner. And he like wakes up and like his girlfriend psychic character is like, what was that? And I'm like, you can describe what happened because you saw it. So we do know that something happened. And she's like, that was weird, huh?
Yeah. Well, and
he's not curious. He's not like, can you tell me what happened? Witness to this event that I should be concerned with.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's worth asking, I mean, what is really going to be done with Moonknight beyond this, right? I mean, like, is he going to become a member of the Avengers or something? Because, like all of the other Disney Plus shows so far have been building off of characters that have already been introduced. But this is introducing a totally new character, and it's like, okay, is he? Yeah, what's going to be done with them? And do we really need one more superhero in this already?
It depends.
Well,
on
and then
it depends. It really depends on. Let's look at. Okay, you're old enough. I'm old enough. Really, kind of be in the dip comeback of comics.
Sure.
Right, with Image and everything like that.
Yeah.
So now the majority of people that are going buying comics are people like me and you, our age.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So it makes sense. I don't think there's just like comics. I don't think there is enough superheroes, because you're gonna have a group liking superheroes, and they're always gonna go see heroes. Doesn't even know younger generation going to see it. You also have toys associated with it, all these other things associated with it, which then looks at whether they're gonna make another show, whether me and you think it sucks or not.
Sure.
I mean, in the end, that's how it is. So if they sell enough. I can't even say lunchboxes anymore because there's not a lunchbox.
Right.
If they sell enough toys and enough video games, whatever they're going to sell, then we'll see another Moonknight.
Well, like in a team, because his powers are like he fights like he doesn't have powers, but then also you can't do damage to him. He gets stabbed a lot, and it's like if it's dramatic, if it's supposed to be dramatic, he'll start struggling. Like the rules are very unclear.
Yeah.
It's like on a team, are they gonna? I mean, how much time you got to devote to like doing the joke where his personality switches and you have a guy roll their eyes and they go like, "Who's it now?" So you're gonna have that scene, and then like it's just the role of like the Hulk, where it's like, "Now go fight those guys over there."
Right.
Well, it's like it'd be great. Secret Wars. They're all under the mountain. It's pitch black. Get Moonknight, and he shines a little light on the situation.
Could do that. If you're gonna do scrolls, it could be interesting to see one try to mimic him.
There'd be 3 of them.
With the issue being like,
wow, that'd be pretty good.
That's something you could do with it. That would be an interesting take.
Yeah,
that would be.
I don't think they will, because I can't imagine that. Because if you agree to be in Marvel, it's like you've now devoted your life to this.
Right.
So I don't think Oscar has to be like, yeah, I'll be in all your Avengers movies now.
Seems doubtful.
Yeah. So
we won't see another Avenger movie, but
Oh yeah, and they said we're only going to do like it's just going to be general team ups now, and we'll be like, oh, we're the Defenders, and this.
Well,
time
they have so many different other groups they can, go with, but the Avengers that is done. What people want to see is of course Captain America and all that stuff back again, but.
Remembering like what started the issue in Civil War in the comic.
Oh jeez.
It was the new Warriors.
Yeah.
And they were chasing that guy. What was it? Nitro. Yeah. The guy who could like explode himself.
Yeah, and then they got to a school.
Yeah.
And like I don't think they're gonna do that.
Yeah, and no, it's pretty dark. Yeah.
But it's like that's like that would cause discussions to happen about. We should probably find out who has powers, and treat them accordingly.
Right.
Well, I mean, with X-Men and stuff, I mean, they're always addressing that stuff, which I think is unique because most people would be really, really upset if you had some super dude across the street that can wipe out the whole block.
Right.
Yeah, I'd have a problem with that.
Yeah, the discussions in the movie don't make sense because it's just like, I mean, that person did rip a bridge off.
Yeah.
For the sake of they wanted to do it. They even mentioned they didn't even have to do that much.
Yeah.
We should not let people do that.
Right.
Yeah, hello. Jeez.
Well, yeah, I mean, actually the show that deals with this kind of stuff most realistically right now, I think, is actually the Boys. Because on that show, it's like, well, yeah, if superheroes really existed, they would be, owned by corporations, and they would just be out to make a buck. And
well, I think it's season 1 that I've only seen one season.
Yeah.
Where the fast guy kills that lady.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so true. And it's like he just shows up to say hi, and it's like, hey, just something that just happens. Hey, sorry.
Yeah, how collateral damage is like a corporate issue. I saw season 2. I did not like how the characters worked in it. Where it was just like I don't feel like there was a point to any. Like the character that does everything, like this goes against like what you guys were saying. And there was a lot of I was unsatisfied with how season 2 ended. So I'm nervous about season 3.
Okay. Yeah. Season 3 starts out pretty well, but yeah.
Like even the first Superman, Man of Steel. I think it was. I mean, the destruction of the city.
Yeah.
Was so what would happen.
Oh yeah.
So what would happen? There'd be thousands of people dead. I mean, dude, it'd be ridiculous.
Oh, did you see Invincible?
Yes.
No.
I have too. So Duncan's the odd one out, which means you're the loser of today's. No, that one.
I'm a loser, just like Moonknight.
Oh, hey,
Oh.
yo, whoa, hey, yo, whoa.
So in the end, out of 10 moons, I'm gonna give it a 3-mooner.
Okay.
What's like? It's like
Lower
waning?
than 3 moons.
What's like a 7?
A
On
red
a
moon.
moon.
Waning gibbous.
You just
Waning
knew that?
gibbous?
Cool. I'll give it a waning gibbous.
Oh my gosh, that
Okay.
dude that totally sounds like a short that some dude made in college.
I'll give it a waxing gibbous.
Ah, interesting. Waxing, of course, means
Growing.
I see.
Yeah.
Oh wow, I picture something totally different. Waxing moons.
You know, speaking of waxing and waning, Mistborn Alloy of Law, also called the Wax and Wane saga.
Wax Wayne.
There's 2 characters. One's name is Wayne, and the other one's name is Waxamillion, and everyone calls him Wax. And the author said he created the pun first, and then he wrote the story based off that. Also,
that's always a good way to write something.
story, nothing to do with moons, never comes up. Okay. No one comments, oh, that's funny that your name's Wax or your name's Wayne. No one comments on it.
Wow.
Great book. No reason for it to be called that.
I had no idea that's what it even meant. So hey, I'm one of those guys.
All right. Well, I got a couple little comments here.
All right,
Okay,
let's hear
great.
the comments.
Let's hear him.
Now, this is by Cray Strenhers.
Hey.
Well, I'll see if I can read this right. It's complicated. Hey, guys, I have a suggestion for a series to review. It may be a bit of a handful at first, but the first book is purposefully obtuse to dissuade casual readers who wouldn't get hooked on it.
Sold.
The series is Malazan Book of the Fallen by Steven Erikson. I recognize that name. With the first book being Gardens of the Moon.
What?
Whoa!
What?
Oh my god, good job on the reviews you guys have made so far. Hey,
Nice.
Hey, someone's talking about Deathlands over here.
What?
Lowell Prevost. Started reading these when I was in junior high, had a hard time finding them, and eventually scored big time getting a lot off eBay years later. Probably 30 to 40 books for $50.
Wow, good job.
Something similar
Good
happened to me.
job, yep.
Jack and Doc are definitely my favorite characters. I dig the episodic nature of the series. While this is technically in order, many of them don't need to be read sequentially. And Rum Ham, who's a classic listener.
Wow.
Where is Frank?
I'm here.
Frank's here.
Yeah, I have. You'll notice sometimes I might not be on some shows because I'll also do a lot of art on the side, MF3 Studios, or you can follow me by Frank W. Perrine. So I might be at a gallery or a show or different things like that. But I'm always coming back.
Yeah. Now Frank is what we refer to as an artist.
Yes.
Now, luckily for you folks, me and Duncan are not. I have nothing going on in my life. Yesterday, I got drunk at a public pool and I fell asleep.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Honestly, kind of the highlight of my month.
Wow. Kind of like Moonknight.
Kind of like Moonknight.
You woke up and all these cans are
every
around.
day
You're like,
I
what did
wake up. Every day I wake up.
What happened? What happened?
Yeah, I don't know. But Duncan,
Yes.
you're on Instagram. Are you open to people messaging you about stuff?
Sure. Please seek me out at Overeducated Underachiever. Yeah.
And I'm on Instagram. You can just talk to me. I've had people. One guy just asked me how I thought a Chainsaw Man video game would work.
Oh, wow.
He made a video, which I could actually, while I'm talking,
Yes.
I'll see if I can find his name. But I'm not mad, but he didn't necessarily agree with my ideas. Ty. No, not Ty. Ty messaged me asking what the foam things they use at the Volume 1 studios. He's like, what are those called? I'm like, I don't know. You could...
Oh, I don't know.
Also, try to ask me questions that I could answer. Tyree Weston. So he did his own video about Chainsaw Man. So
Really?
Yeah, I just talk to people. Some people have sent me... you can send us all on Discord, too. Like, works you're doing, give you notes on it.
Yeah, I'm working towards maybe having a booth at the Pasadena Anime.
Cool.
In, I think it's November. So I'll be posting stuff on my Instagram on anime characters that I'm going to do prints and stuff. So you get to see a different side of what I do.
So yeah, link to the Discord.
Yeah.
Link to our names.
Yeah.
And Duncan.
Yeah.
You got an outro for us?
Well, the moon goes through many phases, and people also go through many phases in their lives. And the phase of your life where you are listening to this podcast is now over.